Basketball is competitive. I get it. Sometimes your emotions get the best of you. Happened to me multiple times.
ESPN just dropped their final player rankings, and oh boy, it's a mess. Caitlin Clark at number 4? That's wild. Let's break down why these rankings are causing such a stir and what they got so wrong. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Throughout the course of my career, people are competitive. It is what it is. And she's having a tremendous season. She's played great basketball in my eyes, probably in first place for 6th player of the year.
You know what's crazy? These rankings aren't just some random numbers. They actually impact player reputations, fan perceptions, and even contract negotiations. That's why it's such a big deal when ESPN gets it this wrong. Imagine being Caitlin Clark, dominating on the court, and then seeing yourself ranked below 3 other players. It's like ESPN is watching a different game or something. But don't worry, we're about to show you why these rankings are messed up. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how ESPN dropped the ball and how we can fix these rankings. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for who we think should be number 1. It's gonna blow your mind. Now you might be thinking, okay, maybe Clark isn't number 1, but 4th place? Seriously? Let's break down why this ranking is so off the mark. What if I told you Clark's been setting records left and right and ESPN still doesn't think she's top 3 material? Caitlin Clark has been absolutely tearing it up on the court. She's not just good, she's rewriting the record books. Clark's leading the WNBA in assists and has set a new rookie points record. That's not just impressive, that's game-changing stuff right there. And ESPN thinks there are 3 players better than her? Come on. You know what's even crazier? Clark's offensive game is out of this world.
And, it's just basketball at the end of the day. There's no grudges. There's nothing like that. It's a sport. It's competitive. It's not going to be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is. And I think people that play that at the highest level understand.
She's not just scoring, she's creating opportunities for her teammates left and right. One commentator even said, "I think you can simply outscore other teams." And that's exactly what Clark's been doing. She's not just playing the game, she's changing how it's played. But here's where things get really wild. ESPN put Nafisa Collier above Clark in the rankings. Now, don't get me wrong, Collier's a great player, but when you look at their potential Olympic contributions, it's not even close. Clark's got the kind of skill set that could light up the international stage. Her vision, her scoring ability, her leadership, that's the stuff gold medals are made of. So what's ESPN's deal? Are they watching the same games we are? Because from where we're sitting, Clark's been on fire. One critic of the rankings put it perfectly. Are they watching the same games we are? Because Clark's been on fire. It's like ESPN's got their blinders on or something. Now, let's talk about where Clark should actually be ranked. Based on her performance and potential, there's no way she should be any lower than number 2.
Oh, I was a
10-10-2-20 guy.
In this case, it's just Caitlin Clark for 3. So you what?
I didn't have the money to make long distance calls, but I just remember the commercials.
And honestly, you could make a strong case for her being number 1. Her impact on the game is that big. You want to know what's really mind-blowing? Some people are arguing that Clark's offensive contributions should outweigh the defensive metrics that rankings often focus on. And you know what? They might be onto something. In a game where putting points on the board is the name of the game, Clark's offensive prowess is second to none. Hold up, though. Clark's not the only one getting disrespected here. Remember those players who've been crushing it for years? ESPN's rankings have some of them so low, you'd think they forgot how to play. What's going on with these veteran players? Let's talk about Tina Charles. ESPN ranked her 24th. Yeah, you heard that right. 24th. This is Tina Charles we're talking about. The same Tina Charles who's been a force in the league for years. Her experience alone should put her higher on the list. But nope, ESPN decided to put her way down at 24. And it gets crazier. Alicia Gray, she dropped to 15th. Gray's been balling out this season, making plays left and right. But apparently, that's not good enough for ESPN. It's like they're watching a completely different game. You want to know what's really wild? Angel Reese isn't even on the list anymore. Angel Reese! The player who's been turning heads and making waves. How does someone with that much potential just disappear from the rankings? Now you might be thinking, okay, maybe these players had a bad season. But that's not even close to true. Tina Charles has been putting up numbers that make her ranking look like a joke. She's been dominating on the court, showing why she's still one of the best in the game. Here's the thing, ESPN's rankings aren't just numbers on a screen. They impact how people see these players. Imagine being Tina Charles, seeing yourself ranked 24th after everything you've done for the game. It's not just unfair, it's disrespectful. But let's be real for a second. Not everyone agrees with putting Charles in the top 25. One critic even said, "I would not put her as a top 25 player in the W." But come on, are we really going to ignore years of experience and consistent performance? This whole situation brings up a big question. How much should experience count in these rankings? Because right now, it feels like ESPN is all about the new shiny players, forgetting about the ones who've been holding it down for years. So where should these players actually be ranked? Let's be honest, Tina Charles should be way higher than 24th. We're talking top 15 at least. Alicia Gray, she deserves to be in the top 10. And Angel Reese, she needs to be back on that list, period. Now, you might think the top 10 would be pretty straightforward, right? Wrong. It's a mess. Aja Wilson's at number 1, but her defense? Let's just say it's not exactly top tier. So what's really going on with these rankings? Let's break it down. Jackie Young somehow made it into the top 10, and that's got everyone scratching their heads. She started the season on fire. Sure, but since the Olympics, it's like she's been playing a different sport. Her performance took a nosedive, but ESPN still thinks she's top 10 material. Make it make sense. And then there's Kelsey Plum sitting pretty at number 10. Now, Plum's had her moments this season, no doubt. She finished strong, but let's be real, her performance has been about as consistent as a roller coaster. One game she's on top of the world, the next she's barely making an impact. Is that really what we're calling top 10 material these days? But wait, it gets even wilder. Breanna Stewart's ranked number 3, and that's got people talking. Stewart's had a solid season overall, sure, but have you seen Caitlin Clark in the second half of this season? She's been playing out of her mind. Some folks are saying Clark deserves that spot more than Stewart. And you know what? They might be onto something. Now, let's talk about Aja Wilson at number 1. Her offensive game? Absolutely top-notch. She's been scoring like it's going out of style. But here's where things get tricky. Her defense. Some people are saying ESPN's got rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Wilson's defensive impact. Is she really the best all-around player in the league right now? And then there's Alyssa Thomas at number 5. Look, Thomas is good, but number 5 good? Her team's been on a downward spiral since the Olympics, and her stats? Let's just say they're not exactly screaming top 5 player. One critic put it bluntly, "There is no way in hell Miss Triple Single is better than Caitlin Clark." Ouch. You know what's really messed up about these rankings? It feels like ESPN's just going off reputation instead of actual performance. Some players who've been struggling since the Olympics are still sitting pretty in high spots. It's like they're living in the past or something. So what would a fair top 10 look like? Based on recent performances and overall impact, we'd shake things up a bit. Aja Wilson can keep that top spot, but let's bump Caitlin Clark up to number 2. Breanna Stewart can slide down to 3, and we definitely need to reconsider Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum's positions. Maybe bring in some players who've been consistently killing it, but haven't get the recognition they deserve. All right, we've seen the mess ESPN made with these rankings. Now let's fix it. We need a system that actually makes sense, you know? First off, we gotta balance recent performance with long-term excellence. Can't just ignore a player's hot streak or forget about their consistent greatness. And hey, what about Olympic potential? That should count for something, right? Imagine a ranking system that looks at individual stats and team impact. It's not just about points scored, but how a player changes the game. And let's not forget about those clutch moments. Who's showing up when it really counts? You know what? We could do this better than ESPN. So here's what I want you to do. Drop your top 5 in the comments. Let's show ESPN how it's done. Who knows? Maybe they'll take notes for next time.